everybody, welcome to Sew Planet. I am your host Toonie. Thank you for being here. It is time for February's project of the month. Yay! For February, I decided that I would make something for myself. And the project for February of 2022 is ta-da-da! Ding! Ta-da! It is a quilted jacket. The first time I actually paid attention to a quilted jacket was when I attended an embroidery class at a quilt shop, and then I saw this lady and she was wearing a quilted jacket which she had obviously made herself because it was so unique and super cool, and it had an embroidery design on the back, and at the moment I just thought, wow, can I make something like that? So I came home and I started Googling a pattern for a quilted jacket, and then I came across this pattern. This jacket is the Tamarack Jacket pattern from Grainline Studio. The original pattern doesn't come with a hood or a collar pattern piece, so it's just like a round neckband, which I think is cool too, but for this one I wanted a hood. So I bought the hood pattern separately. It's like an add-on pattern that you can purchase. So the original pattern comes with welt pockets, but as you can see, mine are patch pockets, and the patch pocket instructions come with the add-on pattern. One thing that is very special about this jacket is that it has binding everywhere. For those of you out there who have not had much experience with binding, this is a great project to get you started. Now I'm going to move on to sizing. So the original pattern actually comes in two size groups. You can purchase size 0 to 18 or 14 to 30. Just to give you a reference, I am 5 feet 4 inches tall, 160 centimeters tall. According to the pattern, my bust is a size 4, my waist is a size 10, and my hip is a size 8. So when I got the pattern, when I started making this jacket, I just didn't feel like blending all the sizes. Too lazy. So I decided to refer to the finished garment measurements and just kind of picked the size that I felt would fit me best. So I ended up picking size 8, and I mean, I like it. It's a little loose, but I think that's how the jacket is supposed to fit on your body. It's not supposed to be tight. So size 8 is pretty good for me. Also for the closures, there are two views. The first one is you could use hooks, or you can go for snaps. I use metal snaps. Let me just snap these on to show you what it looks like closed. Like this. You could use buttons, you could use Velcro, you could use zippers, you know, there are so many options. So it's really up to you. First of all, I love this pattern. I think it is a great pattern for someone at my level who knows a little bit about sewing, like who knows what a seam allowance is, who knows how to finish seams, who knows a little bit about quilting, who is looking for a practice project. This is a great project for you because, you know, you get a jacket. It looks really cool. And it's not too challenging. It's not too frustrating. The original pattern comes with 7 pattern pieces, so that's really not a lot for a garment pattern. Next, I'm going to move on to some sewing skills and techniques that you can learn from sewing this jacket. This is a quilted jacket, so if you're new to quilting, or if you've been quilting for a while and you've never made garments before, or if you just want to get into quilting, this is a great project for you to practice those quilting techniques. If you're like me, when I started sewing and I didn't know anything about quilting, the idea of quilting kind of intimidated me a little bit because I had no idea what I should do. But now that I know how to quilt a little bit, I feel like it's a lot easier than you think. The pattern and the tutorial videos available for free on YouTube are going to walk you through the quilting steps. Having said that, if you're not a fan of quilting, or if you don't feel like you're ready to quilt, but you want to achieve a quilted jacket, you can purchase pre-quilted fabric just like I did. Yay! I opted for pre-quilted fabric for a few reasons. First, I wanted to make a sample of the jacket just to see how it would fit me and what adjustments I would need to make, and I didn't want to use my more expensive quilted cotton and batting, so that would save me some money and also it would save me time. So that's why I chose pre-quilted fabric for this jacket. If I'm gonna make another one, I'm gonna quilt the jacket myself. The second skill that you can improve from making this jacket is still quilting related. It is how to make bias binding and how to attach binding onto your garment. So having said that again, I sort of cheated because I had some bias tape lying around. I had like a roll of bias tape that I needed to use up. So I just used the pre-made bias tape, and at first I thought it would facilitate the process, but it ended up making things a little bit more complicated. Another skill that you can build from making this jacket is how to make welt pockets, which I didn't do. I opted for patch pockets, which you can totally do. Another essential sewing skill that you can practice from sewing this jacket is attaching your sleeves, sewing a concave curve to a convex curve. That's always challenging, but I've learned that the only tip that I needed was to use a lot of pins. Pin, pin, pin. Pin like it's no one's business. And if you're not sure how to do that, the videos available for free on YouTube will help you through these more challenging steps. Alright, now I'm going to move on to some challenges that I encountered while sewing this wonderful jacket. They're really minor, but I thought it would be worth mentioning some of these hurdles. Okay, number one, these patch pockets are ginormous. And I mean, I trimmed them down. I don't think they're supposed to be this big, but I couldn't find anything in the pattern that mentioned whether I should trim them down or, anything about that. At first, I tried to match the dots on the pocket pattern piece to the dots on the front pattern pieces. And I realized that the bottom of the pockets just kind of went over the bottom of the jacket. So I had to make some adjustments. Like I moved the dots on the front pieces up 2.5 inches in order to get the pockets to fit, if that makes sense. Anyway, the point is, the pockets were too big, didn't know what went wrong, didn't want to fix them. I mean, bigger pockets, more room to store stuff. Another hurdle that I encountered while sewing this jacket was my pre-made bias tape. I highly recommend you make your own bias binding. It is not difficult, you can achieve it, and it will look a lot better. This bias tape is polyester and it tears very easily, so when I had to unpick my seam, it just fell apart, and I ended up having to unpick the whole seam. Not the best quality bias tape. So if you're gonna buy bias tape, just make sure that you get good quality bias tape. I got this off Amazon. It's adequate, but you can make your own bias binding, trust me. The last challenge that I encountered while sewing this jacket was there were some seams that didn't get hidden in other seams. So I ended up having to figure out how to neatly finish them. And this was partly my fault because I didn't follow the instructions all the way. There were some parts that I was like, oh, I know better, so I can do this without following the instructions. And then I ended up with unfinished seams. So my fault. Just follow the instructions, do what the videos and the pattern tell you to do, and you'll be fine. Finally, my thoughts on this project. I love it. It's so cool. The product itself is so nice and it's useful. Especially in this weather, I get cold easily. So having a jacket that I like is definitely a plus. This pattern is labeled as an intermediate level pattern. However, from my experience sewing a few garments, and I don't have a whole lot of experience, but In my opinion, if you are a beginner who is keen on learning, who knows a little bit about sewing, like you know certain sewing techniques, like you know how to finish a seam, or better if you have a serger and know how to use it, and if you know what a seam allowance is, if you can sew straight lines, you can definitely do this. Like I said before, there are just not a lot of pattern pieces, and that alone is beneficial to beginners because you might get overwhelmed by all the pattern pieces. With this one, you have the big pieces, you have the pockets, and if you want a hood, you just have this hood pattern, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It's very easy to assemble the pieces. If you're not used to attaching binding, that's something that you can practice because there's a lot of binding on this jacket and it will give you an opportunity to practice. My tips, if I may, would be, again, take your time. It took me 3 days to finish this jacket, and I didn't spend every waking minute of each day sewing this jacket, of course, but like I took my time. I watched all the videos and read the instructions before I began the project. I had a general idea of what I would need to do. Even that, when I was in the middle of sewing, I came across some things that I didn't expect, and I had to kind of find my way and figure things out as I went. Having watched the videos and read the pattern instructions really increased my confidence that I would be able to finish this project, this jacket will look good, and I would be happy. If you make too many mistakes and you're getting frustrated, take a break. The last thing that I want to share is I feel like this project was like taking a sewing class and getting a quilted jacket as a result. I learned so much from Jen's videos. She really took her time into explaining things that I may have already known, but like it was still helpful to learn it from another person. With quite a few sewing patterns that I've tried from indie pattern makers, I feel like there's at least one spot where I kind of have to make it work, right? It's unclear about what I should do. With this pattern, however, I felt like she was so thorough with her instructions. Well, she and her team, they were really thorough with their instructions, and as a result, the product, this jacket, turned out looking so good. I don't think anybody who doesn't know how to sew would know that I made this jacket. Even for me, as the maker, I know that my line is not straight, and I know where my mistakes are. I feel very rewarded. When you wear something that you made and you feel good about it, it gives you that confidence, and it just like, you just radiate confidence and joy, and people can feel it. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope you give the Tamarack Jacket pattern a try. I am highly confident that if you take your time, you follow the steps on the videos and in the pattern, you're going to be very happy with the result. And if not, you have learned a lot just from sewing this jacket. Until next time, thank you for watching. Bye!